Hi, welcome to the challenge Overwhelmed to Organised. Did you know that your stress or overwhelmed response is actually your brain's way to try and keep you safe? Doesn't feel like that at the time, does it? Sometimes we feel overwhelmed. I don't know about you, but I've spent ages and ages feeling overwhelmed on and on, or stressed on and on. And that's not what the brain is trying to do. So I thought I'd start with step one today really is to understand the brain and the hormones and what's happening, because if you understand what's happening, it makes it so much easier to do something about it because you understand why. So let me jump in straight away and show you a diagram. But just before I do that, I'd just like you to stop, pause right now, and just rate yourself out of 10. How stressed or overwhelmed are you feeling in this very minute? So 0 out of 10 is not at all stressed. 10 out of 10 is really stressed. If you're watching this in Facebook, feel free to just put a number in the comments, or you might want to write it down. How are you feeling right now? I wonder. Just make a note of that number because we're going to see how we feel at the end as well in just a few minutes. Okay, so let me share my screen and show you a diagram. Okay, so here is the diagram. And I just wanted to show you this. It's not a really scientific diagram, but I just wanted to point out there is we all have a sympathetic nervous system. There's parts like the amygdala down here, it's not quite showing in this diagram, and other parts of your brain that emit hormones like adrenaline and cortisol when a danger arises. Imagine you're walking along, you're about to cross the road, you start stepping onto the crossing, but a car zooms through it, they didn't see you. Suddenly, even before you know it, you're jumping back. Before your brain has a chance to register consciously that there's a danger, your body's already gone into what's called fight or flight response, which is our stress response. And that's the basis of feeling overwhelmed and stressed. So in our sympathetic nervous system, the ghost sign, I've put that because this system kicks in immediately as soon as there's danger, and it makes your eyes dilate so that you can see more clearly what the danger might be. It might make your heart rate faster, your blood pressure goes up, your all things, maybe you might start sweating a tiny bit. All the responses to help you to fight or flight the danger. That was really very helpful when we were living maybe in the country, in the bush, in the jungle. But nowadays, living in a city where the stresses tend to be a deadline that we're trying to make, or someone says something in a tone that we take exception to, or something like that, that sort of response is not so helpful, especially because the other thing that the sympathetic nervous system does is it shuts down the front part of the brain, this frontal lobe here, shuts down a bit. And what that is all about is that's the part of the brain that helps you to think clearly. It also helps you to make good choices and exercise self-control. So if there's less blood and nutrients pumping to that part of the brain, because the brain's just saying run away or fight, then you can't think as clearly, you can't make good choices, you haven't got as much self-control. And that's partly why the overwhelm and the stress can build up and feel overwhelming over time. So what we want to do is to turn off the sympathetic nervous system and turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part, I'll put a stop sign, that's the part of the brain that actually calms you down, calms down the adrenaline, calms down the cortisol, so that it can kick up the nutrients back into the frontal lobe and you can think more clearly, more creatively, and more calmly and more confidently. Okay, so now that you understand what's actually happening in the brain when you're stressed and overwhelmed, you can do something really simple to start dealing with it. And the simple thing to do is to actually just take some slow, deep breaths. In fact, that's how we start the weekend wind down just about every Friday, because that is a really simple but powerful way to start calming down the adrenaline and the cortisol, which is actually flooding your brain, flooding your body, making you feel stressed and overwhelmed. So let's try that now. So I just invite you to pause whatever you're doing. If you're driving the car, please keep your eyes open, but if not, then you're very welcome to close them because that can help you just to focus And just take some, slow down your breath, just slow it down, but take some slow breaths in and slowly out. Slowly breathing in and make it even slower. Slow breath out. While you keep breathing slowly in and slowly out, I just wanted to say that even just a few breaths, just 3 to 6 breaths slowly in or slowly out, can actually cut the cortisol and the adrenaline, all the stress hormones, quite a lot. And it can start helping you to get calmer and clearer straight away. It seems so simple, but it's actually really important. And not just to do it now for a couple, like for a few, half a minute and then forget about it, but every time you feel stressed, I invite you to start, just take some slow, deep breaths, slowly in, slowly out, because that will actually help you to calm those stress hormones, which are underlying everything that you're feeling in terms of feeling overwhelmed. Tomorrow we get into a slightly more challenging strategy, but I just wanted to start right at the beginning with what's the cause of the feeling of adrenaline, the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of stress. And the cause is those brain hormones. So slow breathing is a really helpful way to help with that. So as we finish, I just invite you to ask yourself again, out of 10, how would you rate yourself out of 10 in terms of stress? So 0 is no stress, 10 out of 10 is totally stressed. How would you rate yourself now out of 10? I wonder if the number has changed since the beginning of this couple of minutes of video, just with a few slow breaths. Has it changed? I would love to know. Please, for a chance to win, please post your post number in the Facebook group. And if you want to make a little comment about did that help or not, or maybe you feel you need a bit more than that, that's all right. We've got 5 strategies. This is just step 1, but it is really important to physically start dialing down those hormones as we get started. So see you same time tomorrow, and all the best with taking some slow, deep breaths whenever you remember it. Okay, have a great night. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.